Hey folks, welcome. We're live on Twitch with Islantiles and with the two developers of the game. On top, that's Daniel Kern, and below, that's Daniel Espen. Both are from Kaiserslautern or the surrounding area and are making a game that reminds a bit of Terrascape, but also of other games. Glad to have you here.
Thank you for having us and letting us talk about our game.
You're very welcome. The game launches May 4th as a full release, not early access. And it's actually a turn-based builder. Let's just play a little bit and then you'll get a good first impression of the game. I've played the tutorial and the tutorial is really well done. It's very detailed, very step-by-step, and what I find very pleasant is that it explains the game mechanics without too much talking. There are a lot of games that put so many witty jokes into their tutorials, and as a result, the texts just get longer and longer. Personally, I always react to that by rolling my eyes, and I think it's cool that you went with a different approach, namely a very compact and very direct one. We're starting a new game. The tutorial begins. What version are we actually playing here?
You're now playing the version just before release, so the full version, basically everything is ready. The last civilization is still missing. We'll patch that in just before release. And yes, basically the release version.
I'll turn down the background sound a bit because our audio quality is a bit inconsistent. Unfortunately, the nice music will also get a bit quieter, there's no other way. But there are 3 of us here and we don't have a studio or TV equipment. So everything's fine. New game. And after the tutorials, you're gradually introduced to things and things get unlocked step by step. One civilization after another. Here we have the Crown Lands. Later on, you unlock more by earning achievements in easier games. Even more civilizations. And with that, let's get started. You don't have a multiplayer mode, it's a single-player experience. Is this the only mode available in the game? These missions with the civilizations?
Exactly. During the game or at the end of the game, you can then decide whether you want to switch to endless mode. Or to a so-called leaderboard. And then compete for a spot there.
We start the new game with the Crown Lands on the only difficulty level that's available at the moment. Back then, it was relatively easy, thank God. I can't embarrass myself there. We're playing on Wanderer. We start with a balanced deck of cards. The game has card-based elements. And you can win coins later in the game. The harder the conditions we play under, the more coins you get. And this is what a map looks like. The map is very easy to read and is very, a bit abstract. On purpose, I think.
Exactly, yes.
You can quickly see what's where, including the little trees up front. That there's iron ore up front here, in the mountains and gold. You can also see the shells. And the other shellfish here on the water. And where there are fish, you can also see fish jumping. I always see them around the small ones. And what is this here? Is this the famous reed?
Exactly, just a bit of reed in the swamp, and yes.
And what's special is, we have 4 seasons, and in each season the game looks a little different. Right now it's spring. We always start in the spring. And the goal of the game is first of all to have a good time, and secondly to get as many points as possible. For the points, you can see a mathematical product at the top of the screen. On the right side we have productivity. And on the left side the goods. And the goods are simply multiplied after each season with the productivity we have achieved. And then there's a certain number of points, and then in the next season you earn new points again, and at the top there's a score bar. It fills up slowly. And you should, I'll ask the other Daniel, after 4 seasons you should have at least achieved the bronze medal.
Exactly. If you manage to do it earlier, you get an extra coin, and for every additional medal you achieve, you get 2 more extra coins. So the silver medal gives 2 coins, and the gold medal also gives another 2 coins.
If you're already interested in the game, it was just posted on Twitch, the link to the game's Steam store page. There's also a demo there that you can download. The version is similar to this one, but it's not quite as extensive. And on YouTube, I'll put the link to the Steam store page below in the text description. Also, as always, feel free to wishlist it on Steam and follow the page there. Then you'll get information about the release, for example. And it also gives the developers and their project something more visibility without costing you anything. I hope that maybe it's possible the game will be available on Games Planet at release, but that's still a bit uncertain at the moment. I'm trying to make that possible, but I can't promise it. Then there might be the option to get the game a bit cheaper through me. However, the discount would come at the expense of the shops, not the developers. We never get ripped off in such deals. Alright, let's get started. The first thing we do is we have a deck of cards down here. And the deck of cards, well, the colours show which genre we're dealing with. Green is agriculture, blue is everything on the water, like the blue water, brown is everything on land, so hunting or also forestry. And the grey is for what happens in the Grey Mountains. That's easy to read, and then you can see little hammers underneath each one. What do the hammers mean?
In one season you have 5 hammers available, and the hammers show how much it costs to play a building. That means after 5 hammers, the season ends automatically, and you have to manage to use a total of 20 hammers in the 4 seasons to at least earn the bronze medal.
You can work in different ways. You can work by taking 5 buildings with 1 hammer each, or you can take an ultra cool building with 3 hammers and then another one with 2 hammers. One way is just as possible as the other, and it always depends on whether you want to use a bit of tactical trickery. Let's take a look, for example, at the butcher up here. I'll show you something simple first when you click on a card. Yes, you don't even have to keep it pressed, you just have to click on it once and it will automatically highlight where there are resources that match the card. And when you hover over it with the mouse, it shows which resources are collected and how many points you get for them. If you hover over the card itself, it also breaks it down. For a wood supply, you get 15, and for a reed, it's, right? Swamp? Swamp, and for 1 swamp, you get 1. So swamp thicket or reeds give you 10 points each, and depending on where you go, you get more or fewer points. Up here, for example, you get a lot because there's already a temple.
There's a temple there, which boosts everything a bit more. You start with a temple on the starting island, and it can help you expand and upgrade your deck further.
To get the benefits, the temple gives you the advantage of receiving 100 goods for free, but for that, I really have to place a building on it. It would make sense to place the lumberjack there, and later we could try to complement it with a sawmill. I'll show you how that works. We click on this, get 175 points, and because we got the temple, we can now claim a reward. There we can upgrade this card, the lumberjack card, with a saw, and we have a choice. We can say maybe you can explain from left to right yourselves what the advantage is.
From left to right, the wish duplicates a card in the deck. Of course, at the beginning, that's not quite as useful as when you've played a card on the temple that's fully upgraded. So, there are more upgrades later on that improve a card, and like in a typical deck builder, it's obviously an advantage to have the highest possible quality in your deck. That can really help. I wouldn't recommend it at the beginning. Then there are resource upgrades. This way, you can play upgrades on any card, allowing them to mine other resources. That means you can basically specialize your deck in a certain direction and then, for example, use brown cards to harvest the resource tiles meant for green cards. So, in this example, the river.
So I was able to harvest from rivers with that, regular rivers. Not just the lakes with reeds.
A lumberjack by default can only harvest reeds and wood.
And then I also have good preparation. That simply means a one-time bonus. I can draw 1 more card. I find the river part most exciting, so I'll use that to upgrade this card. That just slipped by. Lumberjack leveled up. In future cards, meaning islands that come after this, I'll be able to carry over the deck I've earned here at the end, and the lumberjack will also be improved accordingly.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, that's how it will be. Great. So let's take a look now. The Sawmill is a card that just costs 2 hammers. That means 2 actions out of the 5 that are possible in the season. But it has the advantage that you not only get a few points for each resource, wood and reed, but also for every lumberjack standing nearby. That means if you click there once and look over here, for example, you can get up to 155 points, for example. Were the resources that the lumberjack just harvested actually destroyed?
Exactly. We distinguish between permanent resources,
Like reeds?
rivers, mountains, and coral reefs, and resources that are, well, regrowing, so they keep growing back. And those are being extracted. That includes, for example, wood, but also animals for hunting or grain. And in this case, the wood has now been harvested, but the reeds remain. So, for example, you can score points again with the sawmill during this season.
Let's click on this.
The renewable resources regrow at the end of each season, so every empty field has an 80% chance that a resource will regrow.
Yeah, that's working nicely. Click on this once. Now we have 330 points. These are multiplied by a productivity factor, which isn't very high yet. And let's see. Now we still have 2 actions left, 2 hammers, so let's see what we do. For example, we could use a smelter. It also gives points for iron mines that are next to it. We don't have an iron mine card. Are all cards discarded when you move into the next season? I think so. They go into the discard pile. Yes.
Exactly. All cards are discarded at the end of the round, at least in the standard version.
Do we have multiple smelter cards in the deck overall?
In the standard deck, there's only 1 of each card to start with.
Okay, let's use it now since there's no reason not to. It gives a lot of points at the moment. Let's try it out. 110 is okay. After all, it does take 2 actions. So up here we could get up to 110. That would be pretty good. Mountains are boosted by it, and so do iron deposits. Let's review the alternatives. Yeah, the alternatives aren't great. We could use Fisherman once and Hunter once. We can see what we get from that. The Fisherman card is activated, but there are no fish resources here. Yes, there are, right on the coast up here. We can only build on land, so we have to build on a cape. It's not really worth it here. And up here on this side, it's not really worth it either. Let's test it once with the Hunter. That's the game up here in the front. And here we could go on to a forest slot, since its resource has disappeared. We could get 50 points alright, then I'll go for the smelter and get the 110 here. People in chat are downloading the demo. You can play along too. Just a quick reminder, the demo is of course free. Will the demo be available after the release on May 4th?
No, we will remove the demo from the shop with the release. The reason is simple, there are only 2 of us. And managing 2 versions of the game in parallel is simply a lot of work. We want to avoid that effort at release.
The background is there are 2 of us. And in the summer, everything looks even more vibrant and clearer because of the light. And we got new cards. The old cards went into the discard pile. If our deck is completely played out and empty at some point, then the card deck is shuffled and dealt out again. So, and for example, we could combine a grain field with a mill. That would be one possibility. A coin could be combined with a gold mine. That's also tempting. But we don't have that many mountains, and we mostly have iron and no gold resources. I'll show it here briefly. And we don't get that much there. It's not really worth it. And the coin in turn boosts gold deposits and mountains. It would work pretty well because of the mountains, but less so because of the gold. You can do that. Let's keep that in mind. We could try down here, grain fields and mills. Do we even have any grain resources? Yes. 5 of them side by side up here. For example, we could get 70 or 75 here. And what's also important, the cards each have a different range.
Exactly. The single hammer cards typically start with a range of 1, and the double hammer cards start with a range of 2. But there are technologies and also upgrades that will change that over the course of the game, and later on, of course, there are also other cards that don't follow these basic rules.
You can see that quite well, you don't have to memorize it. Here the green card has a 1 at the top under resources, that's the range. Here under resources it says 2, all resources within the range in question are covered. That means, for example, if we move the grain field here, we can get 75. There we could build a mill up to 2 spaces away, which would give this grain field a bonus. For example, we could place it down here. The grain would then also, that means we would lose those points, but the grain field would make up for it again. We wouldn't lose all of them, just the 3 standing close together here.
Yep.
Once on here, 75 points. Once a mill, then 2 spaces away, right here in front, 135. Fish. Once over here. And only the resources that match the appropriate card are harvested. Not all the others. So now we still have 2 actions left. Who owns the winery? Does the winery even have a prerequisite card? Yes, like a gatherer's hut, right?
Yes, exactly.
But it's also basically the case in the starting deck that the 2 hammer cards always have a different building for which these energy points are used.
A quick thank you in the chat to Wallen for the 47th subscription on Twitch. Let's see where we put that. It gets boosted by fruit and or by berries, right? Pumpkins, how would you phrase that in German? Fruit?
We called it fruits. Fruit?
Yes, fruits. And the other ones are rivers. That means maybe up here in the front you could get quite a bit. Even a lot. And we have a range of 2 because that's a 2 hammer building and you can really harvest quite a bit there. Now we have a total of 365 points. That will be multiplied by 1 since we now have a productivity value of 3. 365 is counted once. Where did my bonus points come from? Did they come from the tempo? No, they come from the crown.
As crown lands, you start with the crown if you move your mouse over the crown above your compass on the right.
Ah, over there.
Exactly. And it simply gives +2 productivity at the end of the season.
A civilization that we can play as just has different kinds of bonuses like that. Now we're in autumn. There are red autumn colors everywhere. And let's see what we can do now. And we have a shipyard and a fisherman. I don't think our deck is that big yet. The fisherman and the shipyard have already left the discard pile, right?
Exactly. You start with 16 cards in your deck, and since you normally draw 8 cards per season, you've gone through your deck after 2 seasons. And that means you now also have the lumberjack in your hand, for example, who was upgraded by the temple.
Ah, that's a really good tip. And since he also fits well with the sawmill, let's check it out. The forest is back again, right? Mostly. What did you say? The forest, the normal resources respawn with an 80% chance. Does that also apply to the forest?
That also applies to the forest. And in forest tiles, either regular wood forest or animal forest can appear.
Ah, okay.
And depending on that, you have the option to harvest it either with the lumberjack or with the hunter.
Take a look at where we can place a good sawmill 2 tiles away. For example, we could put the sawmill here by the lumberjack. No, there's already a building there. Another lumberjack. Take a quick look. Here, personally, I think it's quite fortunate if you go to the edge of the 2 zone so that some of the things you remove are out of reach of the sawmill. Up here, you could, for example, get control 65. And then place the sawmill on it here. Get 175 points. Great.
Nice combo.
At the top of the scoreboard, we can see we've already received the bronze medal. The threshold for that was 2,000 points. We're trying to get silver and gold. It's not just about honor and the feeling of accomplishment, it also has concrete gameplay effects. It's about coins, about the points. Right next to me is a pouch with 0 gold, and it fills up depending on how successful we are in such cases.
Now, each medal gives 2 coins, and you can spend them again in a shop after the island, but there was one.
We'll take a look at that in a moment. In any case, the faster we get the gold medal, then even this round, which normally lasts 4 seasons, would be cut short. We'd also get a small bonus for that. That means the faster we are, the better. At the latest, after 4 seasons, meaning at the end of winter, it's game over and the score is tallied up. So, and then Collector's Hut and Mill is not a combo, Fisherman and Shipyard, but we only have 2 actions left. That means we'll do the Mill solo. Let's see. 150 points up here, that's pretty good. I don't think you can get much more than that. Let's try this one here. We got some coins, we got some goods. So multiplied by 3. Our civilization bonus increases the productivity from 1 to 3. And we got silver. And now winter is coming, and this is our last chance to get a gold medal. It's up ahead. That means we're short by about 1,000 points. 915, we should actually be able to do that. If we get those 915 points, we'll have the gold medal. And a short interruption, just a little bit of advertising. It won't take too long. I have a sponsor. That's the company Asus ROG, Republic of Gamers. They provide my PC monitors, by the way, my mouse as well. Speaking of the mouse, our community's hardware expert Marcel found a cool mouse from Asus, and he'll tell you why he thinks it's so cool.
I've already tried out and presented many high-quality and innovative Asus mice for you, but my absolute favorite mouse is the new ROG Harp 2 Ace. This high-quality gaming mouse, like its predecessor, was developed together with esports professionals. It's perfectly balanced to allow effortless fast movements with absolute precision in any game, whether it's a first-person shooter or a strategy game. I especially like the mouse's shape, which fits perfectly in your hand. The housing is made of bio-based nandron material, which reduces the weight to 48 grams and increases impact resistance. The included mouse grip tape can optionally be applied and further improves the grip on the buttons. The rounded design of the PTFE feet reduces contact friction with the mouse pad and ensures smoother movements. A stable internal structure prevents the sidewalls from bending. The shape of the mouse is suitable for any grip. You can bend your fingers in the claw grip or lay your hand flat on the mouse, depending on your habits and ergonomic preferences. I find the technical specifications of the ROG Aimpoint Pro sensor very impressive. The mouse sensor delivers 42,000 dpi at speeds of up to 750 inches per second and can withstand accelerations of up to 50 G. In practice, this means that the mouse remains absolutely stable and precise even during very fast movements. And the best part, it works absolutely reliably even on glass surfaces. No dropouts or tracking issues. Really cool. The Harp 2S can be connected to your PC in 3 different ways. You can choose between Bluetooth 5.1, USB 2.0, or a wireless connection in the 2.4 GHz frequency band. The advanced ROG Speed Nova technology enables a true wireless polling rate of 8,000 Hz. The mouse can be configured and calibrated via GearLink in a web browser. You no longer need to install any additional software on your PC. That's a real advantage.
Yeah. Many thanks to Marcel. If you want a link to the mouse, you'll find a text description below on YouTube, also in the first pinned comment, shortly after the video is released. And another link leads to my hardware page, my equipment page at Asus. There on my homepage you can see everything I've installed in my computer, my monitors are listed and so on and so forth. But now let's continue with this nice video. If we make it to 915, we'll get the gold medal. And we could combine the shell collectors and the jeweler or the smelter and the iron mine. We already had a smelter and iron mine before. I'll see if we can try something different here instead. Shell collector, 45 points, 30, 60 max up here, and until next time, crystal. By the way, what I would personally wish for, if I may say so, would be a feature. A one-step undo if you misclick. It hasn't happened to me yet, but I can imagine that someone might slip with their finger on the mouse and then get really annoyed about it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Right now, the game saves once after each season.
So up here you could combine, but it doesn't really do much. I would actually rather see, with a right click, you can deselect. I'd rather make sure that up here in front we get it working again with the iron mine and the smelter. Did we already do that earlier? Yeah, there's a smelter there, right? And where could we put the second one? 195, 100 points up here in front. There are several. 115 here. A 2-tile gap, ideally for... Well, click on it again, deselect it again. Right next to it is the iron mine, 2 tiles away from here. 35 is meager. 1 tile, 2 tiles, it can't go there. 1 tile, 2 tiles, you could click on the 50 down here. Right here. Now put the smelter here, 125. And we still have 2 points left, 175. Those will be multiplied by 3 at the end, not by 1. And now let's see how we can fit in those 2 points. Coin, we don't have enough gold. The jeweler by itself didn't bring much either. For the winery, do we have reduced yields in winter?
No. Not at the moment.
You don't want to torture us or the players.
Not yet. There are still more difficulties.
We've already taken all the good spots. We could get 85 points for the 2 of us. Let's see if we have 2 singles, with 1 action each that gives us more in total. 1 is 50. That would be okay for now. And that combined with a 50-point shell collector, I wouldn't mind that. 45, yeah. 1 shell collector up here. 60-point shell collector here. A grain field was 50 points here. Now we have... That was the end of the season. 285 times 3. That's just barely not enough, right?
Yeah.
Really close. No gold medal? Or did we? Or are we really close? No, we were 10 points short. No, 60, we were 60 points short. Shame. We were 60 points short of the gold medal, and that was on the lowest difficulty level. Island settled. Scoring. Could you break down where the points come from and explain it briefly?
By default, you get 6 island coins. That's always the case on the first island. In a moment, we'll see again on the following islands where they come from. Then, 2 coins for the silver medal in this case. There would have been another 2 for the gold medal if there were 60 more points. If you manage to finish the island before winter, then it's an early finish. You'll get another coin for that. And there is interest. For every 5 coins you already have, you get 1 extra coin. If you start with 0 coins, you'll still have 0 after the first island.
Then we've collected 8 coins, you get them and end up in an in-game shop. But be careful, there's no in-game loot here. You don't need to spend real money, it's just a card shop. And we can either buy a card or upgrade a card, an existing card. Or we can buy a tech. There are 2 to choose from here. Or we can say that we are completely dissatisfied with the offer here. Spend 2 gold to reroll and get a new offer. Or we can save. Personally, I always tend to check first if you have an exciting tag. And only if you don't, upgrade a card. Because the tags, I think you can have up to 5. At the bottom, where I move the mouse, there are 5 free slots. And that would actually be pretty good. Quitting time. At the end of each year, you get 3 productivity for each remaining productivity. What does that mean?
Exactly. So for each leftover hammer, you can end a season early. For example, if you only used 4 hammers or just 3. And that way you would get productivity here. And because of that, there's a new level you have to think about. Because if I play 5 cards now, then afterwards I don't have any productivity bonus. But if I save a hammer, I can get another +3 productivity at the end of the season. And since productivity scales the goods, this way I have the opportunity to get more points, and with less work.
I actually think that's super cool because with this multiplication, whether it says 1 or 3 productivity per hammer left over up there, if you skip a cheap building that would have only given you a few points and instead get such a strong multiplication effect, I think that's very powerful. What's the library? At the end of the season, you get some productivity per sale value of all technologies. That's more of a late game thing. The more technologies you have, the more productivity you get. At the moment, in the early game, I would say no for now. We're buying time off. Then we also have, oh, by the way, every time I may make a small request, since I have you here, every time I buy something here, I wonder, how much money do I have left? And every time I have to go down and check here at the bottom, not on the window itself, but outside the window. And I'd like it if, when the shop is open, there would be an extra display here where you can quickly see, at a glance, close to the mouse, how much gold you currently have. It's that simple.
Very good idea. We'll definitely take that into account. Thank you very much.
Now we still have 4 coins left and can use them, for example, to upgrade the tavern, which we don't even know yet.
We can even buy it. So it's a new tavern. That means if you buy the tavern now, it will become the 17th card.
Interesting. Does that also apply to the shipyard? Would it be a separate card?
Exactly.
No upgrade. Okay, cool. That costs 1 gold. If a building is placed on it, and the building card will be converted. You'll have to explain that to me.
Exactly. So, similar to the temple, there will be a school on the next island if you buy this card here. And when you play one of your cards, one of your buildings on the school, an upgrade menu will appear, similar to the one for the temple. Only in this case, your building will be transformed into another building and will level up in the process. So there are bronze, silver and gold cards. And yes, so basically card tiers. And the more valuable a card is, the more points it gives you. That means a tavern that's gold in this case gives more points than a tavern that would be silver.
That means the building card you play isn't actually converted, but rather upgraded. That might be more precise. And it becomes a better one, permanently an upgraded one, but it's still the same building card, it just has a higher value.
No. So afterwards you get shown 4 cards and then you can choose one of them.
Yeah, sure. Okay, understood.
But it does get upgraded.
You can do that, it doesn't cost much. We had the shipyard from time to time. We could try out the tavern sometime, then we'll experience something new for a change. There are 2 resources that get collected there, fruit and meat, and lots of buildings. That means you build the tavern at the end when you already have lots of buildings within a range of 3 or 4 spaces, so you can really rake it in. Right? But the downside is it costs 3 hammers. That's a lot. That means in the first and second season, it's no use at all. If you have it in your hand, then it's really annoying. It would be cool in seasons 3 and 4. Chat question, what would you wish for? Tavern? Do you want to try out the school? We could combine the school. We still have 4 coins left. Combine the school with the second shipyard card, for example. Then we'll actually experience the school for real. What do you wish for? I'll ask in chat. The tavern is being requested. Hello, Istrake. Greetings to Pierre, and thanks for the 55th subscription. And Istracher insists on it because 55 is a double, 55 months, it has to be the tavern. Then we'll buy a tavern. Now all the school people are coming. Let's go with the tavern. Because it was 50-50 in the chat, let's go one island further. Now we have the agony of choice. We can set our own challenge. And the islands are getting more and more complicated to settle. And it's getting more and more challenging to make the cards work. But there are treasures. And the riskier the cards are, the more treasures there are. What kind of treasures are those?
There can be treasures randomly on the islands. In this case, there's now a school on the middle island. That's basically a free school that you can attend. And on the risky island, there are 3 free temples. And the idea is that the safe island is the largest. And the resources are very balanced. The balanced island is already a bit smaller. And there, a resource can sometimes be a bit rarer. And on the risky island, the whole thing is really, really risky. It often happens that the island is very unbalanced. And accordingly, there might be almost none of a certain resource.
I would say let's try the balanced one. We're still getting used to the game. We're not complete beginners anymore. We can't go wrong with that one. If I may give you a little tip or suggestion, maybe a tooltip for less experienced players over these symbols. That would be cool. You get the coins, but the treasure's meaning isn't always clear.
Ja, das ist nochmal ein sehr guter Input. Das nehmen wir mit.
We're sailing there once. Yeah, you're developing the game as a duo. How long have you been working on it so far? Yeah.
We started in January last year with the concept phase of the game and then moved on to development pretty quickly, trying to create the demo as fast as possible. And from there we kept iterating until now, when we're about to release.
That's moving fast. So about a year and a quarter later, we'd be in April of the following year now. You both have computer science backgrounds, correct?
Exactly.
That means programming comes easy to you?
That's the easy part for us, yes. The hard part is the graphics.
But did you also make the graphics yourself? Did you teach yourself graphic editing and the necessary programs? Or how did you do it?
To some extent. We work with freelancers whom we have now ultimately hired for the 3D graphics. And what we often do are the animations. We did all of those ourselves. All the in-game screens, like those mini animations when the coins spawn and so on. That's all our work.
Without federal funds, without taxpayers' money.
Without federal funds, although we did receive a small grant from the Rhineland-Palatinate Media Funding Program.
Very nice.
Before Islantiles, we had already developed another game the year before, in 2024, which was also when we founded the company. And that's when we learned how important the visuals are in a game. Coming straight from studying computer science, we weren't as aware of that as we were after our first game.
Once again, a reminder for everyone who joined later, you're looking at 100% of the development team that made Islantiles. The one you see up there is Daniel Kern. Below him is Daniel Espen. And both of them are from Kaiserslautern or the surrounding area. And as you just heard, they made these games in a quarter of a year. It will be released on May 4th. That's it. There will be a demo on Steam until then. Feel free to add it to your wish list, follow the page, download the demo, or buy it when it's released. You can find the link on YouTube down in the text description or on Twitch. It was just posted again. Thanks for that. Let's keep watching. We have this new card here and we want to... what do we have on offer? A shipyard, a mill, a smelter, a coin, a connected mountain range. I think that's very reasonable. Are the cards completely randomly generated, or are they handmade and drawn randomly from a pool?
The cards are both, so the cards themselves are handmade, drawn from the pool, and then a random generator iterates over the card again. So that the cards are always a bit unique, but over time you can start to notice similarities.
I've also had the impression before that this card seems somehow familiar to me. So let's do gold mine. Let's try to combine it with the coin. There are plenty of gold deposits on the map, all in the middle. That means if we, for example, settled here, we would have 75 gold. Let's check with the coin at a distance of 2 tiles. You could get 120, 130. Get it up here, which means we'll put the gold mine right in the middle on top of the iron deposit. That's obviously out of the game.
They give a tip there, yes. Instead of playing the coin, you can play the smelter on the school instead.
Where is the school back there? Yes, exactly.
And there are fewer points in the first step, but that gives you a high chance to choose a coin, and then you could play a silver coin. Die dir noch mal mehr Punkte gibt.
That means the card I just played, you programmed it so that it's more likely to appear now when making a selection.
When making a selection, one card of each color is shown with the same hammer count. And now, of course, I know that the chances are pretty good if you play a smelter, that the coin will come up.
Okay, I understand. That means the smelter goes on here, but it actually does bring a few points. What for? Why? Does it even score any points? It does score points because of iron and mountains, but there aren't that many mountains there.
And mainly, again, similar to the temple, and you get another 100 goods on top of that whenever you build a building on it.
Right, can't you do that then? Even cooler? Well, sure, it's nice for the upgrade and, not just cooler. You'll put a wood building on it later. We don't have a wood building yet. You can play a wood building on it. It will score an incredible amount of points. And which ones, with what probabilities then? Which cards are available for the upgrade?
Very likely we would still have a hunter available.
Mm-hmm. We're testing.
But we would still have 3 other cards left.
That means... yeah. I'll wrap this up with the coin for now, because I actually thought the coin was a cool idea. And the logic of when things show up is a bit tricky for me as a beginner. I won't remember that anyway. I'll just put it up here at 130. Now I'll go down here, place the lumberjack on the temple with just 1 productivity point. 150. And this card is transformed and drawn directly into my hand. That means I get this one as a bonus now.
Instead of the lumberjack. So the lumberjack is gone afterwards.
He's gone from the deck? Nothing.
Yeah, and for that you have an upgraded
Card.
received.
The only thing that remains is the upgrade for the lumberjack, which came from the temple before. So this river upgrade, where the lumberjack also collects from the river, that remains when the card is transformed.
It's up there, and then it will be transferred to the new forester. We see up there it benefits from rivers, of course we just unlocked that, from wood and from meat. I'd like that one. We'd get it at level 2 right away. And let's go ahead and do that. Now we have another one. We also have them right away on the map. We still have 1 production point available. And we'll place it there.
Here's a quick tip at this point. Basically, you now have the choice whether you want to play Forster or if you'd rather take the 3 productions from Firebend.
Oh right, we just unlocked that bonus. You can see the technologies on the left. You can always hover over them to see that. And then we would have 3 instead of 1. That means we would get 355 3 times instead of just once. That means twice 355 we would get 700 points for free. That's much more powerful than Forster. That's a very good tip, thank you.
With the crown, you'll get 2 more productions anyway. That means in total, you'd actually have 6 productions. Productivity.
5, right?
No, 6. Oh.
From the rest?
The crown gives 2 more and Firebend gives another 3. Krone.
Oh, 3 per 1, not 2, but 3. Alright, now I understand. Then let's do that. So, how do you end a season?
At the bottom right, where it now says 3,200, that's also our end button, and it ends the season.
Click it once, it settles up. 6 times 355, that's a lot. With developer assistance, WB cheated and we're jumping one step further into the summer. How would you categorize your game's genre?
That's actually a bit difficult, but we would describe it as a roguelike deck builder mixed with a city builder. Well, we ourselves are fans of these genre mixes, and here we tried to combine the basic idea of a roguelike deck builder with a city builder. And that's how it turned out in the end.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on, and now the tavern appears. And we said that you place the tavern after you've built as many buildings as possible because it gets its points mainly from buildings that are up to 3 spaces away. That means we could already look for a cool spot for it right now, but we won't place it yet. Most of the buildings we placed up here. Where do we see the buildings? In the view, there are small icons. 1 is here, 2 are up front. Those are the 3 we've built so far. Let's do a tavern check. And it benefits from food and from fruit. From meat and from fruit. Meat comes from hunting in the forests. Exactly. And there's a little bit of fruit up there and a lot down here. That means at the moment this seems to be the best place. 210, 240, that would be extremely cool. Definitely better than up here. Then we would make sure to place more buildings here within a range of up to 3 tiles. And we have to keep at least 3 production points left because with the technology we have, each remaining point significantly increases the multiplier. I would even only place 1 building. I would even just place 1 building next to it, then the tavern, and then see how things go from there. Unfortunately, the gatherer's hut destroys fruit that we use here. Oh, not all buildings benefit from it either. I haven't noticed that yet. It's the food gathering ones, so the buildings that you associate with food and drink. That means a gatherer's hut would definitely fit. A fisherman doesn't fit in the middle here. That's not good. Reeds and reeds also have nothing to do with taverns. A gatherer would actually, well, go away again. A gatherer would actually be quite fitting. God, how lousy. That's hardly worth it at all. That... A maximum of 15 points, that would be really sad, fisherman. We have nothing good.
You could consider just playing the tavern. I think there was another sport just now, and then you get the extra points from Feierabend.
Because that's how you do it, the taverns, and you get a +6 productivity bonus on top of that. The factor goes up from 1 to 7.
Exactly 9 in total then, if I haven't miscalculated.
And now we advance to the next round. Where did the other 2 productivity points come from again? From civilization.
Durch die Zivilisation, genau.
Okay.
Civilization was essentially given as a starting bonus.
Now we're in autumn and we already have quite a lot of points. 4,290 is just short of silver. We still have 2 house times left. And we could combine a hunter and a butcher. We could combine the jeweler with the shell collector or the fisherman with the shipyard. Those will all be cool combinations. Up here in the front, that's what we have.
The lumberjack is actually already on the island, which means the sawmill would also be another possible combination.
Really good tip. The lumberjack was up there in the front. We would get 120 for that. Here we would even get 155. I even think that's a good idea. We want to save some points for the multiplier later. One. We don't have hunters, we don't have fishermen. Let's check shell collectors and jewelers to get a feel for what's worth it. 60 back here. These are fish, right? No, that's reeds again. Those are the shells, 60. And the jeweler next to it benefits from shells and from...
That's the reef in the sea.
From the reefs and...
Left and all the way up.
Aha, all right.
Never represented that.
I don't think that'll be very worthwhile. Let's not do it. Then let's go with your idea. We'll place the sawmill right here. For the 155, let's go up. And place it. Is it worth giving up 3 points for 9 productivity?
That's the question now.
We'd need a real game changer now for it to not be worth it. Something that scores a lot of points. For example, a single hunter that racks up a lot of points. Unfortunately, we don't have that on offer. At most, a fisherman back here on the left. I think I could just take those productivity points with me, right? You too?
Yeah, we go.
That means we click on edit once. That's where we end up. 1860, great. Just short of gold. Now winter is coming.
Chances are better this time. We're in good shape for winter.
Mm-hmm. And we can combine them. The gold mine and the coin. The smelter and the iron mine. The tavern. Now, of course, late game. That's why we got the tavern. For moments like this. And it benefits from all the food buildings we have. 180. 180 for 3 productivity means 60 points per productivity point. That's not that much. With the 210 up front, it might still be okay. Yeah, you can. You can do it. Well, doing it again would probably be perfect, right? I'd like to play them out since we'll get the gold medal anyway, and the point margin doesn't matter. That's why I'd build the tavern here, then we can see it in action. And now we'll skip the rest and go for the high multiplier. We get 9 times 210 plus 1 to 8 on top. Then and have the gold medal, yes. And get 9 points, 9 gold coins that we can spend. Very nice, very, very fine. So that was the first part on YouTube. There's a second video. We'll continue a bit more. I'd like to point it out again. Steam store page, link below if you're interested. Want to add it to your wish list, follow or buy it starting May 4th or until the 4th. Play the demo until May 4th.